All right. So, welcome everybody to this information session about the upcoming Level 2 cohort in Joy of Living Online. My name is Dirk. I'm part of the operations and support team here at Tergar, and I'm joined by two of our most senior Joy of Living Online guides, Franka and Frédéric. Both will also be part of this cohort. They will be part of the rotation of 4 guides within this cohort. And we will also have our product manager for Joy of Living Online, Chase, in the meeting. And yeah, so these are the staff people that are joining today. And everybody else is interested in joining this cohort. So it will be a 1-hour session, and we will go through some slides in the beginning. So just to give a reference frame and what are the how the cohort is structured, how to sign up, all of that. We will also look at the website, what it will look like once you might be part of it. And then there will be time for Q&A as well in the end. So yeah, we all invite you to ask questions, raise your virtual hand and ask questions, let's say in the second half of the session. So without any further ado, I'm sharing the slides and welcome Franka.
Actually, hello everyone. It's great to see you all, great to see your interest. And I'm actually going to pass it over to Frédéric right away. He's going to be introducing us and I'll be tag teaming with him back and forth. So yeah, great you're here. Over to you, Frédéric.
Thank you, Franka, and thank you, Dirk, for the intro. So nice to see all of you here. If you feel comfortable, please turn on your camera. That would be lovely to see all of you. And if you feel too shy, absolutely no problem to stay hidden behind your computer. So my name is Frédéric. I will be one of the guide with Franka and 2 other beautiful guide during this cohort. But for today, would like just to give you a brief explanation of what is it about enrolling in this wonderful experience of participating as a group and as a community to the Joy of Living 2 cohort. So it will be about 1 hour, and definitely like this session is really for you to clarify any doubt you may have about it, and if we can make something for you to enroll, we'll be absolutely happy to do so. So please feel free to ask any questions whenever you feel up to. So to start, I'd like to show you just a reflection question, which actually is at the root of this program. And maybe before we move on, I'd like to ask you to take just maybe 1 minute and write in the chat any kind of answer you can give to this question about what are the challenges we may face when we try to maintain our meditation practice. What is the most difficult? What can be an obstacle for us to practice? So motivation, changing and moving, it's always very hard to find time. Exploring and having more depth into practice, tiredness and laziness, committing to a regular time routine, intention, busyness of mind, distraction, waking up late for work in the morning and being distracted by work in the afternoon. That's a good one. So what is beautiful in these answers is that first we have been able to identify the problem. And then, as you know, Rinpoche always repeats that, the problem is the solution. So here we are to try to find a solution. And so what can be the solution here? when we face challenges. So are we able to make our time different? That's quite difficult, quite challenging. How can we change our relationship to motivation? How can we change our relationship to intention? Doing that alone, probably all of us, we already tried, and we've seen how difficult it was. And then we realized that one aspect that is extremely important in the practice, but is not taught that much, is actually the community aspect. And when we discover teachings, most of us, we've been discovering it maybe alone in our, in our sofa reading a book. But then when we moved on and attend some teaching, we realized that all of these teachings were in the community settings. We were receiving teachings with people. We were practicing with people. And then after that, we were back to our loneliness or our daily life or, daily activities with the regular people we live with. But but it is important to realize that the teaching came from a community environment. And then by offering this group cohort along 6 months with a session every Saturday, we are actually creating the link that is needed for us to keep up our motivation, to keep up our intention. Most of us, when we take commitment for ourselves, it's very difficult for us to keep it. But I know, because I've met a lot of people, that when we start to commit to other people and saying, okay, I will be there, then we tend to push ourselves a little bit more. And then this is maybe the little, the little push that we need to just do it. And I think it's worthy to try, because even if at the beginning we don't realize that we are doing it for ourselves, the fact that we do it because we committed to something and we committed to someone else then will be of tremendous benefit for ourselves. So you've seen that all of the obstacles we may have faced, raising our intention, keeping up our motivation, finding the time, the space, then by allowing yourself to commit to this program every Saturday, 1 hour, 15 minutes every Saturday, you are taking the time to keep up your motivation and to refresh your motivation and to keep up your practice in some ways. So if you have right now any comment about your difficulties and about your maybe doubt on how this commitment can help you to overcome to these obstacles, please raise your hand and I'll be happy to listen to you. And before moving on, if you don't have any question, I just would like to share one comment. I was in a retreat setting for a long time, and once a Zen teacher came to visit us, and he said to us one thing that really struck me, and it's still here with me. He said, if you commit to do something, do it, because you will always feel good if you do it until the end. And I've applied that in my own life since now probably 20 years, because it was 20 years ago. And I've never been disappointed about that. And that's true that when we tend to not in some way respect our word or respect our commitment to do something, we tend to feel sad, this, sad and sorry for ourselves. And even though sometimes it's a little bit hard for us to commit to our commitment and to respect our words, I can say that we always feel so good after having done it. So okay, so Franka, I think you can.
Yeah, thank you so much, Frédéric. That was beautiful. So I'm just going to mention that in order to join this Joy of Living 2 cohort, you'll need to have done the homework for it. In other words, you will have needed to complete the 50 hours of the Joy of Living 1 practice. So that's one of the key things before joining this cohort. Now you may have done it online. You know, you may have done it in those 6 to 8 week workshops that the Tergar guides give. So you may have done it already, but you do need to have done the Joy of Living 1, because there's this whole world of language and concepts that Mingyur Rinpoche uses, and you'll want to have practiced with those concepts and those techniques in order for you to just move into level 2, which to be honest, it's so different than level 1 and level 3. The 3 levels that make up the Joy of Living are they're of course very connected, but the focus is so different. And in this second level, we're really touching on, the 4 immeasurables, as they're called: loving kindness, compassion, joy, and equanimity. And we're introduced to this incredible, what I think is the jewel of this entire program is this idea of the goodness of our innate nature, and that practicing with these 4 qualities is helping us train in a way to recognize the inherent goodness and the inherent qualities that are actually already there. And so, and in the end, what occurs is there's this softening of the I and my world, and we begin to open and embrace to a broader world of the other. So you know how often there's like me over here and Frédéric and Dirk are over there, but in this whole series of Joy of Living 2, we begin to melt the wall that exists between us and just open this natural warmth of our heart. And what's been so interesting to me is I didn't know this was a training. You could do this as a training when I was first introduced to this. It's actually like when we're training and the Joy of Living level 2, we're just consciously over and over bringing our intention, our awareness, our practice back to these 4 immeasurables. And in that way, we become more skilled, and then we begin to see, oh, they're actually inherent. So I wanted to mention that, and then Dirk, would you share the next slide, the slide about, and we've touched on this a little bit already. Like Frédéric has done a wonderful job opening us up here. Why should we join the weekly live sessions? And speaking for myself, habit, our lives are just made of so many habits, and some of them are unconscious and some of them are conscious. And when we're developing a new habit like meditation, it's not easy. We need supports in different ways. And so a huge part of supporting you is in building in this consistent structure where we're meeting week after week, where there's this idea that you'll have gone through the teachings and looked at the work online, and then we meet every Saturday for 75 minutes, and we begin to look at what you've learned, what are your key highlights. And Frédéric will go into a little bit more detail of what those sessions look like. So it's that nudge, that little commitment that you make in showing up that is it's actually it's just so important. I know in Vancouver we have a Vancouver practice group where we practice awareness every week, and it's like, okay, I've committed to these people. I'm going to show up. I'm going to lead a practice in meditation. And who's benefited? I've benefited. I hope they have as well. So this whole idea of making a commitment, and Frédéric mentioned that word, is just huge. And that way, when you have a structure, You don't need to think every day, oh, should I meditate today? Oh, should I do this every day? It becomes automatic. It's like, okay, yeah, I'm going to go to this session. I'll have done the homework, So, or as much of the homework as possible. So I think in mentioning this, I think we also need to recognize that in building a habit, like, why are we building a habit? Well, to show up. And then why are we showing up? Because in fact, we're wanting to transform, we're wanting to learn something. And you know, we can understand all these things at this intellectual level, but actually practicing them is what brings us, and understanding both the intellectual and the practice, that's what leads us to transform. And that's why structure, and that's why it's so amazing that this is like a 6-month or program that goes until March, because we actually get this like spaced out time to actually implement the practice. And then in terms of community connection, well, I've already mentioned some, with my own group, I feel like commitment to these people that I keep showing up. But I think we've all felt that in groups where we feel the support. Our own motivation can so easily be dependent on how we feel that day. But if we know there's somebody expecting us to show up, or then it's like you're stepping in more. It's like you don't just dip in a toe. You've got more toes in the game, and the more toes you can have in the game, then more than likely you'll benefit more. Now, the community connection is also amazing because there's so much wisdom already in this group, in you, and how you share. And in how you share is different than like how the guides might share. And people hear things so differently. So just realizing that we actually really want your wisdom to be shared in this setting, and we try to make that possible. There's also, WhatsApp group, and I think Dirk will talk about those later, but that's a way for you to keep in touch and to grow that community connection. Now, in terms of live guidance, and Frédéric will talk about, what it looks like, but basically, these sessions every Saturday are with one of the guides. There's 4 guides that are leading the Joy Living 2 cohort, and we'll be rotating. So you'll have different guides on the Saturdays. So you'll hear maybe a few different perspectives, and there'll be lots of chances to ask questions. We've actually extended the length of time for this cohort to be 75 minutes because we had received some feedback that 60 minutes didn't quite do it, wasn't quite long enough. So there's lots of time to be asking questions. And then also in terms of the practical application, every week there's there'll be, well, in terms of the practical application, what I love about this program is that you're only practicing like 1 or 2 meditations a week. You're not practicing the whole Joy of Living 2 all at once, which would be very difficult. So there's this real breaking down of what we're practicing, the key concepts and the meditation. So you're not overwhelmed by masses of, all these techniques, and you can just focus on it. And the idea is to practice, on the cushion and also in your day-to-day. So you'll see there's practical application and how you, from the morning on, while you're brushing your teeth to the end of the day. So we're trying to blend also what happens on the cushion and what happens off the cushion. And maybe I'll just ask if there's anyone here in the group who has taken the cohort level 1. if you might like to type a comment, if you prefer, or you might like to comment about in terms of what your experience was like, and then we'll move on. But just like if there's any comments, then in terms of your community connection, or you know, I'm happy to see if there's anyone here who might like to make a comment about what the cohort 1 was about. And let's see if there's any comments. Okay, so yeah, there was a comment that it's nice to share in the small groups. Now my dog is just banging at the door. I'm just going to open the door for my dog, and I'll be right back. One moment. Okay. So there we go. Okay. Okay, and then yeah. So I'm working through level 3, but have heard from 1 or 2 guides to join one of these cohorts as support. Yeah, wonderful. Absolutely, Meredith. Yeah. For you, the basic, yeah, and for Pablo, basic practices of presence, kindness, and curiosity. Okay. Okay, wonderful. Well, you know, with that, I'd like to turn back over to you, Frédéric, to continue.
Yep. So basically each week on Saturday, you'll meet with one of the 4 guides that is involved in this program. And just to follow up on what Franka said, you know, these guides may not be expert or, you know, having tremendous realization, or at least I speak for myself, but I know for sure that we've been studying and leading and watching these teachings many times since years now. And we've been very familiar with the material of the Joy of Living too. So there is a chance that, you know, when you face an experience, we may have been able to go through the same kind of experience too. And then there is also a chance by the time you spend with the guides and other people in the cohort session that you find a way of not feeling alone in your own practice. And that's why that's experience in this cohort group is so important, because it helps us to feel less alone in a time where loneliness is so strong and so hard for all of us. And if practice can help us to feel more connected, then we should find a way to do it. So basically each session will follow more or less the same format, except that you will have a different guide every other week, every week, by a rotation of 4. And then each guide has its own way, his or her own way to organize the session. But basically, of course, we'll start by checking in, and and the content will be basically based on the homework you would have done for the session. So we'll of course explore the guided meditation and having some reflection based on that. We'll of course start the session by from what you have learned from the teachings and the practice meditation and all the exercise that you have done during the week. And all of that is basically about, you know, 15-20 minute teaching, video teaching from Mingyur Rinpoche, 15-20 minutes daily meditation. And someone was asking about what kind of meditation, and as Franka said, we are going to explore the 4 immeasurable, and so all the practices connected to that: meditation on love, meditation on compassion, meditation on joy, and meditation on equanimity. And of course we'll have some other kind of meditation like the Tonglen practice that is also delivered in the program. But what is beautiful here is that if you see the environment of the Buddhist teaching, most of the teaching are focusing on love and compassion, and for sure they're extremely important qualities that we have to raise, but we tend to not spend too much time on joy and equanimity. which are as important as love and compassion. And one beautiful aspect of this program is that you will have the time to devote exactly the same amount of time to joy and equanimity as love and compassion. And I think that's what, for me, makes very unique this experience of following up this program for six months. So, of course, here I've mentioned that, we are exploring during the session the guided meditation, some reflection. Of course, the guides may take a time to share about their own experience. It will not be a teaching per se, because Rinpoche is the teacher, but we can still share what we have learned and what we have experimented from the different kind of practices. And we'll have some time to do some group discussion, community sharing, and answer questions you may have about the practice, so that the idea is like to really keep up the interaction about the practice during this session, so that basically all the homework would have been done before, and I will come back to that later. And then we just are here together to spend 1 hour 15 minutes really focus on what is the practice for us, what has been really visible for me during this week while I was practicing, but also while I was living my daily life. How I was able to react to people, even though I was committed to apply the teaching. Where did I have the feeling of failing? Where did I have the feeling of succeeding? And all of that makes our practice alive. And we do, for sure, by doing that, we are able not to practice like zombie on a cushion, because zombie on cushion doesn't really help the world to survive. So I think that's mainly what this hour and 15 minutes will be about. It will be about you, your experience, your tension, your doubts. And what we want to do as guides is us, but also with all of you in the cohort session, is to find solution. As I start sharing today, I was mentioning that we may have a lot of issues, and you mentioned some obstacles, because motivation can be up and down, intention can be up and down. Sometimes we have time, sometimes we don't have time, but if we really want to find a way, we need to take this as opportunity to find solution. And so let's say that during this 1 hour 15 minutes, our aim is to find solution, to be a little bit more happy, to be a little bit more compassionate, joyful, and sharing equanimity with all of us. So basically, as I said, you have the weekly cohort lab session, and maybe Dirk, you can uh, put yeah, you can go on. So the idea of preparation is really important, because if we want to make the session really alive, we need to do our little homework commitment. So basically, what we would love everyone be able to do is to watch the videos and read the teachings, practice meditation every day for 15 to 20 minutes. And again, we speak about, most of the time we speak about 20 minutes, but if you feel that you will feel more comfortable to do 15 minutes, please do 15 minutes. Don't bother about numbers. It will not make you a better person if you practice 20 minutes than 15 minutes. It will make you a better person if you do it honestly and with an open heart. So, and then you have like application in the daily life, and that's also the very interesting thing, because if you try to do it, then we have some sharing, that we have some interesting comment to share together on the Saturday. So it can be challenging for all of us to commit to that. However, of course, we may fail, and sometimes we may wake up too late to arrive at work, and being too busy at night with all the work we haven't done and we still have to do, and then we don't have time to do our homework. Then, that's fine. No one is going to burn you on the public square, so it's all fine. But what you can do is you can show up on a Saturday and be with us and say, oh my goodness, I was late every day at work and I didn't manage to do my homework. And then we can just restart from there, and just like, so what can we do now? What can we do with this? What can I do with this feeling of being always ahead of time, late, and not being able to do what I value more. Anyone can help me here in this session? Do you have any tips? Do you have any advice? And so on. You know, that's the idea. This program is, of course, an offering based on your commitment, but it's also an offering for us to support you and to help you in the practice. But what I can suggest is that you can skip one Netflix season 1 to 1 video or 2 videos of Rinpoche per week. That's something you can do. And then that's the bare minimum you can do to attend the session on a Saturday. And like that, you will not be lost and you will be completely with all of us. So that's basically my little silly advice to not feeling bad if you can't catch the homework. Because what is interesting is that if you're committed to this program, what I know, and I mean, it's based on experience too, is that even though you're not able to keep up the practice daily, practice will still be in your mind. You will know that you haven't done the practice. So that means you have the awareness of it. You have the compassion of it because you have this kind of insatisfaction. So every experience we have, we just need to be a little bit clever and find a way to connect it to practice. And then we're able to transform it into practice. And this is what we're going to discover basically every Saturday all together. So I think, Franka, you can start your part now because I think
Right.
much.
And I'll keep this very short. In fact, most of you are so familiar with this already, but yeah, just in terms of practically joining the sessions, make sure your Wi-Fi is stable, this second one, find a quiet and comfortable space. I think that's really critical. You want to create an environment that supports you, where you want to show up. So I think that's one key thing to try to keep in mind. And in terms of testing your audio and video, there's lots of, you might like to take notes. Maybe you're a note taker, so bring your book. Sometimes we'll be journaling. Yeah, and of course we really appreciate it when you keep your camera on as much as possible. Sometimes it's not possible, and we understand that, but that generally would be wonderful to help connect us. Even visually, we connect in this way, even when we're not speaking. So, okay, I'm going to pass it to you, Dirk, quite quickly, so that we hear your presentation, which is so critical.
Yeah, thanks, Franka. Thanks, Frédéric. So yeah, I'm covering the next slides. It's going to be more technical and it's going to be more organizational. So these are the dates for this upcoming level 2 cohort. So we will have a registration period that's already open and will end September 13th. And then already on September 13th, there's going to be the first live session that's kind of kick off this particular cohort. And then we have weekly sessions. There's going to be breaks around Christmas, like 2 weeks. I think we have 2 weeks kind of, no sessions. But if you add the whole Joy of Living level on, all the sections in the Joy of Living level 2 online week by week, then you end up in March 13th with the last session. So each session is going to be at the same time, 12 p.m. Eastern, and duration is 75 minutes, as Franka already mentioned. So I can show you the page already. If this is working, is it working? Yeah. So if you become member of this cohort, in your right navigation bar, you will have another navigation button. It's called Cohort 2. And if you click on that, it will open up the current page, which looks like this. So this is kind of an internal space that is opening up for you if you become part of this particular cohort, and you will have access to this space as long as you are a Joy of Living online subscriber. So this will stay with you. all the way through, even after the cohort is ended in March. I'm sorry. So as you can already see, there are several, things in here. The WhatsApp group, there's a way to sign up there. There's a pre-course survey, and these are the courses themselves. Once the cohort is running, it will turn into, let's go into another one that is currently running, the level 1. It will turn into a kind of announcement page where you have the session that is upcoming with the date and the timing, all of that, and the Zoom link. And you have a recording archive. So all of these Saturday sessions, they are recorded in Zoom, and our team will upload this every Monday. So even if you couldn't join live, you will always kind of, can catch up with these live sessions. So currently there is a registration page, and this is what the registration page looks like. The URL is joytergar.org, and the short form is connect. So if you call that, then you come to this registration page, and it has many of the things that we mentioned here is also written in text form. There's also kind of an overview, what we also discussed here. There's an introduction video by Frédéric, and all these cornerstones and some testimonials. So this is where to sign up for this level 2 cohort. And at the bottom are the rates and just plans. So let's talk about the pricing model that we have. So as you know, in Joy of Living, we have several price tiers, they're called. So we have a standard rate, we have a reduced rate, and we have a sponsor rate. The sponsor rate is kind of the highest plan. And if you want to become part of this cohort, we ask you to move into the sponsor rate plan. So there are 3 different ways to pay for this sponsor rate plan. So if you pick the monthly option, it's $50 per month. If you pick the semi-annual option, it's $250 for a half a year. And if you pick the annual option, is $450 per year. If you have questions, or if you need or want reduced access, then please contact us under jol support@tergar.org. This is our official support address, and our team will look at your request, and we will have a discussion internally how to make it happen. So this is the pricing structure, and how does it really work then? So there are 3 cases actually, and this is a little bit technical. So ideally, I think any of you is in either one of these categories. So either you are completely new to the Joy of Living and you're not even a subscriber, or you are already an active subscriber and you are on the plan that is different than the sponsor rate plan, or you are an active subscriber and you already are in the sponsor rate plan. So let's go through this from left to right. If you're completely new, you create an account, it's completely free. You log in to your account and you go to this joytergar.org connect page, and you sign up for one of these sponsor rate plans. If you already are a subscriber, then we might need you to move from one tier to the next. So if you log in and you call this connect page, it will give you a step-by-step guide on how you can move out of your current plan and connect to the sponsor rate plan. So the platform will it can either move you directly, or it might ask you to exit your current subscription and resubscribe at the sponsor rate plan level. If you already are on the sponsor rate plan, then all the platform needs to do, and this is again under this connect page, you will see a different connect page if you already are on the sponsor rate plan. Then all you need to do is click the sign up button or the join button, and then you become technically in the background connected to the cohort without any changes to your plan, because you already are in the sponsor rate plan. So this is the technical way to join. And yeah, this also concludes what I wanted to say, and it opens up the floor for questions and answers. Can be anything. We would appreciate if you raise your virtual hand and ask your question live. It's always a little nice to see people and to hear people. But if don't also hesitate to use the chat function, and we will address in the chat. So yeah, Suzanne.
Hello, everyone. I was just wondering how this program helps with motivation and accountability to maintain a daily meditation practice.
That's a good question. I'm not sure my question will be very satisfying, but what I can say is that when you have a commitment every week, you already have a regular practice. You have this every week regular practice. And then the idea is that from there, from this regular commitment for 6 months, it's not nothing. It's a 6-month commitment. Every Saturday, you're going to be there. You're going to be practicing. You're going to be listening, sharing, exploring, deepening your practice. And then there's a chance that from there, your motivation is going to come back a little bit quicker, maybe on the Sunday and the Monday, and then maybe slowly on the Wednesday and Thursday, it will be more difficult to practice, and then it will be going down again. But it doesn't matter because it comes back on the Saturday, and again you come back on the Saturday to the practice. The idea is that we don't want to be too ambitious. We don't want to commit too much. And as I said, we need to be very practical and realistic with our own practice. And then if we've been fighting to practice 20 minutes every day since years and it was too difficult, maybe we should find a way to practice a shorter time. Maybe 15 minutes will be more valuable for you because it will fit your timetable. You will not have the feeling of stretching, for example, or like of taking time. Maybe you should find also the place that fits better. Finding the regular routine of practice is extremely challenging, actually. This is one. We are made of habit, but finding the habit of meditation is one of the most difficult things we can find. That's so strange, but this is how it is. But I really think that, first of all, sharing your question with all of us is already something that will help you to keep up your motivation. Because you will feel not alone. You will see that other people like you, like me, like Franka, like all of us, we have been through phases where, staying committed to practice was quite difficult. And sometimes there were no practice at all. But as I said, practice is always there. We just need to trust our wisdom because we have the wisdom to connect any experience to the practice, even though it doesn't look like the practice I've been taught. So I hope it gives you a little bit of answer, Susan.
Yeah, and I think I can just add that I have found that having friends on the path is critical to supporting my motivation when my motivation is lagging a bit. When I hear the enthusiasm from others sharing about their experiences, it just simply helps me. It's sometimes those bikers who draft behind the other bikes. It's like you're picking up something because other people are heading in the same direction. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you. Suk?
Hi, thanks. Just a question about the Vajrayana courses as well. Are those meant as like complements to this, or is this kind of seen as a succession to complete the joy of living and then moving on to that? 'Cause I'm just looking through all this stuff. I've done the joy of living once, and some of the concepts there appeal. So I'm just kind of maybe some education around how that works, and if I'm going to commit time to joy of living too, I just want to kind of get an idea of where it all fits together.
Maybe I'll just start with this. Yeah, so Mingyur Rinpoche talks about the joy of living and the path of liberation, which is the Buddhist practice, as sort of the two main dishes, like sort of the key things that he's teaching us. And so those two, the Joy of Living is the critical program to get a foundation for the entire path. He sends his most senior students back to the Joy of Living in order to gain the understandings in the Joy of Living. So I would just say that the Vajrayana Online is oriented to more towards our Buddhist learners. And if something appeals to you, I would say, absolutely take it, it could be an enhancement to your practice, but the main focus, and Rinpoche stresses this, should be on the main dishes and getting that foundation and then expanding outward. Frédéric, what do you think?
Well, I would say that if you're interested by the Vajrayana path, which is in the Tergar community is the path of liberation, Rinpoche really recommend that students have been able to practice a daily meditation practice regularly for years, first of all. And if not, maybe having done the Joy of Living 1, 2, 3, and if not, at least the minimum requirement that I've heard him saying is that everyone should do the Joy of Living 3 minimum before attending. Even if you had a lot of practices, you should do the Joy of Living 3 to attend the Path of Liberation. But what I would say is that for me, a lot of us, we've been starting practicing directly in the kind of, Vajrayana tradition because this precious path created by Rinpoche didn't exist at that time. And what I realize is that now, if I could practice only one practice, that would be definitely the one of the Joy of Living. This is for me the beginning and the end of all the path taught by the Buddha. And you have in it, and you've done the Joy of Living 1, yes? So you will see when you're going to do the Joy of Living 2, how much in the Joy of Living 1 was already there. And when you are going to move on the Joy of Living 3, you will see that actually everything was already taught in the Joy of Living 1. And then for people who are moving on the path of liberation, they realize that arriving at the path of liberation 5, and come back to the Joy of Living 1, they realize that everything is there. So I would say that my advice would be, don't move on too quickly to Vajrayana. You have time. Enjoy and take a deep swim in the sea of the Joy of Living too, because this is such a precious, precious program. And I would say that nowadays, this is probably the most unique program that the entire world should follow.
Thank you.
I hope it's okay. So
Yeah, thanks. That. I think that addressed my question. Thank you.
Janine?
Yeah, I have practical questions. Like, what time on Saturday is it?
That is 12 p.m. Eastern always.
Okay, 12 p.m. Eastern always. And then I believe I signed up, but how can I double check that I'm actually signed up?
That's a good question. So if you look into your My Profile, there's on the top right, you see your My Profile. And if you click that, you can see your subscriptions. And your subscription should be on the sponsor rate level. That's the first thing to check. And the second thing is, of course, we have a database. We can look it up. You can write to our support. We can confirm that you are part of the cohort already. And as a result of all of that, this cohort page will turn into this, what I showed you, the session announcement and the recording archive. And when you see this already, when you're logged in and because I'm part of the cohort, let me show you what it looks like for me.
Yeah, I'm logged in right now.
So if you're logged in and you click and you have under cohorts on the right navigation, you have cohort 2.
I do.
And you click on that and it looks like this one, like the WhatsApp group and all these icons. Then you're part of the cohort. Yeah.
Yay.
Good.
Okay, thank you.
Good. Congratulations.
Sarah.
Hello, thank you everybody for sharing and creating this opportunity. I'm curious about who the guides are for this program.
Yeah. So Frédéric and I are both guides for this program. And then there are two other wonderful people joining us. One is Kel Juilliard, and he lives, I think, in the Massachusetts area. And another one is Jem Board, and he's from the UK. So, and all of us have been leading Joy of Living programs over the years.
Great.
Right.
That's great, thank you. I've been hanging out in this world for a while, so know a few people, but anyway. Second question, the other piece that I've been aware of as I've been considering whether to make this commitment or not is kind of my own kind of journey and realization about post-COVID doing things in person versus doing things online, and kind of this desire to get my life more rooted in body to body, face to face kind of realities. So there's kind of this reluctance about committing to another online reality when I want my life to be peopled by humans I see. Like, you know what I mean? You know what I'm saying? So partly, this is partly just to say that I'm in Calgary, Alberta, Canada. And I don't know if anybody else is, but yeah. So I just wanted to name that because I feel that as a tension. Yeah. I don't know if anybody has thoughts about it. It is what it is, but yeah.
Do you want to say something, Franka? Or
No, go ahead. No, go ahead.
I just want to say that definitely we'll try to ask all the participants to mention where they are from by writing the name of the city and country they are from. And if it happens that some people are living in the same area, of course, like finding a way to invite each other at your house to maybe dedicate, one session of your practice together. You can even do the Zoom meeting on the Saturday together. That can create a more dynamic community for all of you. And I'm sure it is possible, definitely.
Yeah. In fact, I happen to know there is a Calgary group that I believe is forming, and I don't know if they do anything in person, but that would be incredibly valuable for you to to connect, to go through this program, and then to, at the same time, whatever you prefer, to connect with them, because they may do in-person events. Like, I live in Victoria, not far from you, and we sometimes do walks together, like walking awareness, and it's just lovely to connect with people who are interested in this in similar things.
And actually, Silk is also in Calgary. You
Yes.
just wrote
And
that in the chat.
that's exciting, Sue. And I'll say I've been actually meditating with Jess McNally
Right.
for 4 years. On
Oh.
Thursday evenings, she was hosting a small meditation group that we had together. So now she's in med school. We can't do that
Yes.
anymore. So I'm
Yeah.
kind of trying to find what, life looks like without
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, there's a new wave of a group forming there, so that'll be nice to connect you to that.
I'll talk to her, I guess, or how would I get on?
I'll put an email into the chat box that you can write to find out the details, to
Thank
see if they've formed. Yeah. Pablo? Oh, you're muted, Pablo. My lip reading isn't good
The
yet.
microphone is a bit difficult.
Yeah.
Sorry about that. I was saying that mine is more of a technical, practical question. And for meditation, I sometimes use your app on the phone, and sometimes I follow the meditations on the program, and sometimes I just go to the tracker and I put a time and I do my own meditation. I'm having a hard time integrating all of them, in the sense that if I haven't understood how you use the tracker, And if you are using the meditation in the program, the tracker keeps track of that. It seems like you have to do both at the same time. Maybe I'm getting the technical part wrong.
So the meditation tracker app is kind of an island. It's not connected. Yeah. So when you do a guided meditation in the browser, I would say, in the Joy of Living, whatever, it's not connecting to the app. So the way to track this in the app, you have to put it in manually. Yeah, unfortunately.
Okay. But in terms of complying with the consistency of doing a certain amount of meditation, I mean, if you don't put it in the tracker, it's okay. I mean, if you keep your own track, if you track your own, fine, right?
Yes, it is completely fine. I mean, it's basically the homework for practice is 20 minutes per day for 7 days. That's it. End of the story. And then the week after we change. So it's not
Okay.
that difficult to track that. It's not like if you have the same practice, like for 6 months and the practice is about 2 hours, 30 minutes, and you have to track that every day for 6 months, you may forget. But like 7 days, okay, if you forget one day, that's not the big deal.
Well, it was more that you had to keep track to comply with I mean the consistency. Okay, I got it. Thanks.
I think we should take it a little bit easy with that.
Okay.
We should trust our feeling of having done the practice or not.
Good. Thank you.
Just one thing to add. There's a meditation tracker, like manual, like a habit builder worksheet within the Joy of Living. There's a link that you can download. And if you don't want to use the app and you want to just paper, we offer something of that nature too.
All right, Mari.
You're muted.
She tries to unmute, I think. It's not working. Yeah, no.
Yes, I succeeded. Yeah, I'm using the web version of Zoom and it's a little bit complicated. Just a practical question. I think it was already answered in the Cohort 1 WhatsApp group. So when we have class next Saturday, I think that's when we have first class. That's when we start doing the meditation for the first class. So I think like when the Cohort 1 started, we were supposed to have done the practice for the first class already. But now we are sort of starting the practice after the first class.
Yes.
And that's it. All right, good. That helps.
We learned from that, and the first session is kicking you off into your first homework round, and then there's the first real session is after the first session, so to speak. So the second September 20th is actually when you first talk about like content but the first session is just like to kick you off into your first week of looking at the material and then have a homework at the end of this first week. So we learned from that. There's an additional session now in the beginning. Yeah.
Right. Okay. That's very good. Thank you.
Dirk, would you mind? There was the one question that was put into the chat about how will the WhatsApp be used in the course? Would you mind?
Yeah,
or Chase,
I can talk
yeah?
a little bit about
Happy.
that. So we use that for general announcements and then weekly reminders about what the material is going to be about, what the focus should be about, and you can share with your other people in the cohort. And we try to organize it in like times, like smaller groups, so the discussion doesn't get kind of crazy. But we do encourage you to share whatever you want, figure out what location, and then even in a prior cohort, people in a certain country actually got together and started practicing on Zoom, like during the week, irrespective of hours. So it's really a free platform for you guys to just connect and share experiences, while also us reminding you about certain questions and just a quick way to reach you all without sending you 100 emails. So
So last question from Bruce. Yeah, every session is going to be recorded. Even this one is recorded right here. So so we record all the sessions. The archive will be complete on the website. So even if you cannot make it on a particular Saturday, there's always on the Monday, the session will be on the website in the archive. Okay. How do I get the WhatsApp on my phone? You do it with the official, get it from the official app store, whatever your phone is providing you with as an app store. It's the iStore for iPhone or the Play Store for Google. It's just,
Yeah.
we don't use any fancy, it's just a normal default WhatsApp thing. And we can create our community in this environment, in this default app. Yeah.
You would need to scan the QR code on the site or the email to join the actual community group. So you can't without downloading. So you have to download the app, and then if you scan the QR code that's found on our website that Dirk shared, it should just take you to the link to join our community.
And if something comes up later with you today, I don't know, in the week, whenever, always write to support. Yeah, we have a team, a great team behind all of this, and we are happy to help if something comes up later or you need even more clarification. So we are in contact. Anne.
Hi, everybody. I have a particularly busy 6 months coming up, and I wonder when the next opportunity might be.
Question for Chase, I think.
Well, what level are you interested in joining? 2. It's actually, so we're doing another level 1 right now. So I think when that one wraps up, which I need to look at the calendar, but I think in 3 months. Oh, you have a busy 6 months. So when this level 1 ends, we might do another level 2. And we will also start gauging interest on our Joy Living site there will be a form that you can fill out to join the waitlist. And as we get more interest and we see enough participants, we will just start opening cohorts as we have members to do them. So when we do that, I do suggest you just say, add me to the waitlist to get notified.
When will the next cohort 1 will start? Chase.
I believe in right after the holiday season. So I think in January, there'll be another level 1, and then there will be a level 3 around that time as well. I think I have to look at the calendar. Sorry, but there will be announcements made, and we plan a few months in advance, and that's it. So I don't have be like, oh yeah, scheduled next July. So we'll just plan for that.
Okay, thank you. Good. So then, if there are no more questions, I think we just wrap it up here. Thank you, Franka, Frédéric, Chase, and thanks everybody participating here. And as I said, if you have questions, reach out to our support, jol support@tergar.org. And yeah, we're looking forward to the start of the cohort. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.